I aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 62 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. In this episode, there will be 3 sections rather than 2. I'll start by giving you an update on my knitting over the past 2 weeks, followed by hopefully a quick walk around. Well, I don't know how quick I managed to make it, but a walk around of the Unravel Yarn Festival in Farnham. And then the 3rd section, of course, Layercake. In the knitting section, I'm talking about the little shawl that I'm wearing and the shifty jumper that I'm knitting. The Unravel Yarn Festival is a festival that I used to exhibit at, but I'm no longer present, and it's my local yarn festival just 20 minutes down the road from where I am in Farnham. Maybe I'll exhibit again in the future if they'll have me, but at the moment still I didn't think it was prudent with trying on layer cakes being such a big part of the experience at a show and the current state of the pandemic still. I didn't want to risk it, so I haven't signed up for this particular exhibition. Maybe again in the future. And in the layer cake section, I'm specifically talking this week about the new Layercake Love top. For those of you who subscribe to the newsletter, you will have read all about it already. And today I'm showing you lots of styling ideas for the Love top specifically, but for layer cake in general, and ideas for non-layer cake items in your wardrobe as well. So let's kick off with the knitting section. So in terms of knitting, I've been really monogamous in the last 2 weeks. I have just worked on the shifty sweater that you see here for myself. I knit for myself. It's taken me a long time to take the plunge and invest in the original yarns that are used for the shifty because of the long color repeats. And I bought the complementary colors, which are the colors that are used for all the little speckles, all the little dots in the jumper last autumn, and then just kept an eye out for a color that would jump out at me to use as a main color. And when Fig Tree Yarns announced their exclusive colorway, which has a lot of maroon and pink and a little bit of grey and duck egg blue in the background, I thought that would make the perfect foil for the 3 accent colors that I had chosen. And this is where I'm at so far. I am knitting size 4 out of, I think, 8 or 9. I will check that and put that here at the bottom of the screen. And in terms of needle size, I've had to go down quite substantially. I had to size down 2 needle sizes to achieve gauge, but my gauge is pretty much spot on now. And I did the same thing for the needle sizes for the little edge, the little neck edge. It's a 1x1 rib, and I ended up doing that on 2.75 millimeter needles to get the right sizing, but at least I don't have a gaping neck. It works perfectly. Of course, on the little dummy here, it's quite roomy because of course I'm a much bigger size, but I've tried it on and looked in the mirror. I've put slightly extra stitches on the arm circumference in terms of transferring stitches when I was separating for the sleeves. I think I've put 10 stitches on each side that are supposed to be on the main body onto the arms, because my arms are relatively big and my boobs are relatively small, and I want the overall jumper to be more or less fitted throughout. I want to be able to wear it over the top of things as well as underneath. So far so good. I am enjoying it immensely, the knit. It's very therapeutic for me, this kind of knitting, because of the monotonous movement, and I love seeing the colors play together and get very excited when a new color comes up. And the fact that you do slip a lot of stitches, because you only knit with one color at a time, and you slip the stitches that are not in the color that you're knitting with, it ends up being a relatively slow process. You only ever slip 2 stitches, so you don't have any length of floats in the back. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So that's all I've been knitting on. The other thing that I wanted to show you is the little shawl pattern, and that I very recently launched as a kit called Double Dutch. And the reason it's called Double Dutch is because it's completely double-sided. But the reason I'm highlighting it again is that on one of the sides, it's got throughout these little sequences of little holes, which is a combination of knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, etc., which creates the little holes. But what these holes do, when knitted in the linen, you can see it a little bit. I use it at the edge of the shawl to create a picot edge, which works really well. But of course it does that in the panels and in between as well, because of linen having a slight stiffness to it. It ends up wanting to stay straight in the knitted sections, and it's quite happy to kink because it's easier there in the sections where it has the little eyelets. As a result, you get a really nice effect of the little shawl bunching up around your neck. So that's what I wanted to show you. That's the one side of it. Just an extra benefit that I didn't even think of when I knitted it, but found out when wearing it, and I love it. And the other side is showing the same colors, but then knitted without the picots in between, without the little eyelets in between. I mean, you can see the little picot edge at the bottom here, and this is just the same sequence of colors throughout, of the colors that are all replicated from the large purple check linen fabric that I've introduced in Layercake just recently as a dress and a playsuit. I'll show pictures of it here, and you can see that the colors, I've picked the main colors that I thought would work well together and have those available in the linen 3-ply as a kit for this little shawl. So you've seen it before, I'm just showing it again because I wanted to highlight what happens with the little eyelets when you wear it, and how lovely it is to see them bunch up and jump out like that. So that's all for my knitting. I am going to start a second sample of the Yarnadelic poncho in a new colorway with a dark color in the background, but I've got all the yarn for it. I'm ready to go. I've just been delaying it because I'm enjoying this so much. This is a bit of an addiction, really. Still, the Yarnadelic poncho is going to get underway, and by the next episode, I'll be able to show you some progress on that. Now, enough for the knitting as far as my antics are concerned. We're going to go around to have a little walkabout at the Unravel yarn show in Farnham in Surrey, 20 minutes up the road from me, where I take some footage walking around and seeing some faces old and new, and give you an impression of what that show is like this year. Then in the last section, of course, like I said already, we're off to play with Layercake with the new Love top that, oh, I'll be able to show you actually. I'm wearing one. Showing the Love top as an over top, as an under top, as an in-between top, and everything else I can come up with, combining it with lots of different layer cakes and showing how effective it works as an addition to your existing Layercake lineup. This is the Love top, just a quick sneak peek, a Love top in the heather stripe, worn over the top of a very thin jumper, a long sleeve jumper that has a hood. That's just how I'm wearing it today. I'll stand up to show it to you in detail, and then I'll sign off. Apologies for any untoward sounds, for trying to move my chair so I can actually stand here. But here we are, Love Top in the heather stripe. If you want to see more of it, then either sit through the Unravel walkthrough or jump through to the Layercake section. I'll put a timestamp here at the bottom. Enjoy. So here I am in front of Farnham Maltings, waiting to open for the first day of Unravel to open, and I'll take you on a quick tour around the building before I'll have a fondle of the yarns myself.
I did. I mean, I have been to Firebreeze 2 or 3 times, and like that was really. I mean, they're not running this. I don't know. They're not running this year with me yet, but that was nice because they actually had sheets there.
So I really am going to walk you through the entire building, starting upstairs in the tannery. We first see Lilliput White. I bought some lovely beachcombed glass buttons from this lady later on, really unusual. And then around the corner is Bird Street Yarn. It's a new to me exhibitor. They've been going for a couple of years, specializing in 4-ply, lovely colors. This is Bona Yarns, also new to me, very bright and luminous. Then we've got Hot Butter Yarns. Jackie, one of my favorite exhibitors because of the talent behind her patterns and her lovely palette of hand-dyed yarns, hand-dyed DK. And across from her is Hide and Hammer. We know Hide and Hammer really well, of course, from their gorgeous project bags. And then at the end that was Carmen from A Yarn Story with Walcott Yarns. Then we walk through to the Southwest Kiln, which this year was completely filled with Garthnor Organic. Beautiful yarns and lovely, lovely peeps. Of course, I had to come back here to choose some sock yarn to make some stripy socks for my husband and have a little fondle of the yarns. They're such nice exhibitors as well, which was lovely to catch up with them. And now I'm going to walk through to the Tyndall Studios, where the first exhibitor we see is Gorgeous Yarns, all plan dyed in West Cornwall. I came back here to buy some lovely soft DK colours. And around the corner from Gorgeous Yarns is Siobhan's Crafts. Beautiful, bright, very sweet colours, as you can see. Beautiful rainbows. And a new to me exhibitor, as is the exhibitor across from Siobhan, which is Perrin Yarns. I hadn't heard from them yet either, but again, lovely palette and all hand dyed, of course. Then we walk through past Rauwwerk. Look at that gorgeous little sheep. I love that photograph, and also really nice color palette. And then across from Rauwwerk, next to Rauwwerk is The Little Grey Girl. And apologies to be showing you some bent over exhibitors here and there. I literally walked in as soon as the show opened. So you're going to see a couple of more bent bodies as everybody's getting ready. This is Folkestone Harbour yarn, and a peek through to the buttoned up stand. And next to Folkestone Harbour yarn is Ted Nix Knits UK. Also really nice fresh colour palette, as you can see. And peeking through to the corner of the Marna's stand, Ankeiten Beg. And of course I had to go back there to make some purchases. This is a new to me exhibitor as well, called the Fibre Fox. And around the corner from this lady is Botanical Yarn, another new to me name. And Botanical Yarn is right across from the last exhibitor in this room and in the middle aisle, called Stitcher's Teas. So now we're going to walk up the stairs to the barley room, just having one more quick peek at Marna's stand, where I made some purchases, did some proper damage later on. So it's up the stairs and into the barley room, where we see Hook and Light, and then zipping past the Urban Pearl too fast. And around the corner to see Fruitful Fusion, one of the other new to me exhibitors. And next to Fruitful Fusion is Rainbow Heirloom. This lady really does dye a veritable rainbow of colors. And there's Malika with her beautiful silver and sparklies. Of course, I went back there to make a nice choice. Past Stitch Birdie and Woolen Flower, and there's Ida's house in the corner, and across from her the Social Circle. And to the left of Ida's house you see the side of the Wool Kitchen, and then we go around the corner. Behind the Social Circle is Weku yarn, Ghanaian inspired colors, very pretty. Then we have in the corner Tilly Flop, and next to Tilly Flop are Florence Sperling Studio and Moonbeads. Florence Sperling, of course, rose to very quick fame with that lovely colourful shawl that is lying on the table there. And at Tilly Flop, I chose a couple of her wonderfully knitting and crochet inspired tea towels. Then down the stairs, on my way to the Great Hall, where in the Undercroft, of course, I found Selena Jane art. Selena's beautiful artwork, really funny in some cases, lots of knitting and crochet inspired drawings there. I love her work. And across from Selena is Pearlescence, Chaogu needles, of course. Hi! And then through to the Great Hall. In the Great Hall, the first stand we run into is the threshing barn, looking very cheerful and ready for action, as you can see. Threshing barn using the space there very creatively. They had a lovely display, as you can see, because it's quite an unusually shaped stand. And where's Janet? Oh, there's Janet. Yeah. Beautiful little spinning wheel there in the corner. Did you see that? So there was Janet again. So we're going to pop through the threshing barn stand, and that's where we see Midwinter. And right to next winter, Midwinter on the corner is Caithness Yarns. We'll see a little bit more of Caithness as we go around. So panning back across the Midwinter Yarns stand, which is looking fantastic, is Estelle in her beautiful dark teal tulip dress, sporting a bit of Layercake for me. Wonderful, of course. Thank you very much, Estelle. And across from Midwinter Yarns is the Wensleydale Long Wool stand. Then we pan over across to the right to River Knits. And it's a really nice, another rainbow coming up there, both bright and muted rainbow on that vertical stand there. And across from River Knits is Coastal Colours, with right next to them a really big display of lichen needles. And then we pan across to UK Alpaca just before we walk up the little heightened area of the Great Hall, up the couple of steps to Toft. Hello, Toft ladies. Really interesting display using the old crates and a little bit of scaffolding there. I've always used scaffolding in my stand for my rails, my Layercake rails. I love the use of wood and scaffolding material. And this is UK hand knitting with a lovely seating area with it, giving you a great view of the Great Hall. We see Debonair yarns there popping up just above those hats as I went down the steps. And this is the side of the pom-pom stand, which we're going to see again in a minute. Here's Debonair again in full glory, and across from Debonair, right next to UK Alpaca, is Whistlebear. We were joking here about exhibitors jumping out of the frame. Whistlebear looking really nice and ready for action as well. And this is the very neat and beautifully laid out pom-pom stand. Hello, pom-pom ladies. And across from pom-pom is the wool barn. And right next to the wool barn, another new to me name called Pigment and Ply. Really nice logo, as you can see on that bag. Interesting colors as well. worth checking out online if you can't make it to the show. And right next to Pigment and Ply are Ching Fiber, with a very modest display from what I'm used to from Ching Fiber. And across from Ching is the Grey Sheep Company. Again, beautifully laid out. The advantage of seeing the show right at the beginning is, hi Emma, is because, of course, it all looks very neat. And then moving on from the Grey Sheep Company, the pastel palette of the Knitting Gift Shop. Things like wool bowls, for example, and other knitting paraphernalia. That is Telling Yarns, and right next to Telling is Dusty Dimples with a really unusual display. Lots of lights and these beautiful hanging down wisteria-like decorations, and a really beautiful logo. It looked like it had been laser cut out of wood. And of course, across from Telling Yarns and Dusty Dimples is Kate Ness Yarns, with yarns both in cakes as well as on cones, so popular for machine knitters as well. So I'm moving out through the side door into the courtyard, and it is to cut across to the cellar bar. Very familiar with the courtyard here, where I used to do a lot of loading and unloading when I exhibited in the Great Hall years ago. Then in the cellar bar, the first one on the corner here, all those beautiful pom-poms, is the Crafty Bird. And next to the Crafty Bird in the corner is the crochet chain. There's the crochet chain coming up. They're just putting up their sign. Like I said, some people were still getting ready. I used to be one of those, everything last minute. And then this is another new to me name called Creative Anarchy. She was already doing a stiff trade, as you can see, just 20 minutes after the show opened. And here are Cat and Sparrow ladies. They are just looking out across to another new to me name. This is the side of the stand of the Yarn Whisperer. That middle position is where I had a stand as well a couple of years ago. I loved being in the cellar bar in that middle position. Worked really well for me, or we made it work. And right next to the Yarn Whisperer is the knitting shed. Across from the knitting shed is Wool Decanted. With next to Wool Decanted, we have Adelaide Walker with very varied stand, lots of fibre, dyes, as you can see, and a beautiful display of different types of spindles. They are next to Uppingham Yarns, which has got the top of the hall there and a little display here in the middle. Uppingham Yarns always really good for some basic staples. And then panning across to Rosie's Moments, another beautiful display, and again laid out in nice color sequins. I bought some beautiful yarns from Rosie's Moments a couple of years ago at Fibre East. And here are Jo's Toes, brightly colored felt to make slippers and other bits and pieces. I'll show you a bit more in a minute. And I'm quickly panning around to show you the front of the Yarn Whisperer stand. Interesting color combinations there as well. And here are some of the smaller and more colorful bits of Jo's Toes before we walk to the other side of the wall, where we find Tidden Bryn. Beautiful patterns, but also nice looking yarns. And this is Farm Crafts, hand spun and art yarns this lady specializes in. Lovely lady, very smiley, as you can see. And we pan a bit back around to show you a bit more of Tidden Bryn before walking across to show at the end of this room Dragon Hill Studio with the specialist self-striping sock yarns, as you can see, already wound in cakes. And this is Internet Cafe, which of course had a big hand in starting off the Unravel show, what is it, like 12, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, I think it is. So this really is my second ever Unravel that I'm not exhibiting myself. There was an Unravel, of course, last May, I think it was, that I didn't really dare go to because the pandemic. Same with this one. I wanted to wait until it's a little bit more safe to allow people to try on layer cakes, for example. Oh, and just before we finish, this is the last but not least stand on my little walk around. This is Willow Knits, and Willow Knits specializes in silk yarns. So if you go onto the Unravel or Farnham Malting's website, you will be able to find details of all the exhibitors that I've shown you. I'm showing you a last peep to have shown you really everything about this show. This is just the entrance hall with a cafe and some seating area, and I hope you enjoyed this. Here we are, it's February. I feel like I've come out of hibernation. January was definitely a sense of hibernation for me this year, more so than any other year. It's my birthday month, so I'm used to having a birthday in a month where people aren't really in the mood for celebrating. As I was growing up in the Netherlands, January was the month of speed skating competitions, and we used to spend hours every weekend in front of the TV watching speed skating championships. And one of the things that I've missed most moving to the UK is the speed skating championships in January, because that's what used to make January special for me, even though both of my parents have their birthdays in January as well as I. So it was birthdays and speed skating. That was a combination that I grew up with. Anyway, I digress. This year, January was a month of hibernation for me, more than any previous year. But I feel I've come out of that. And what better timing than to introduce the Love Top, the first proper underpinning for your layer cakes. You've asked for so long to do a top that can be worn underneath your other layer cakes. And with the Love dress last autumn, we finally cracked it, in the sense that we managed to make a top with sleeves without bust darts. It's a pet peeve of mine that bust darts for 90% of the wearers end up slightly in the wrong place, because of course everybody's shape and boob size is different, and bust darts of course are supposed to sit right in the middle of your bust, and they never do. At least that was what I'm used to, and I'm used to seeing that as well. So I didn't want to go the route of bust darts, also because I want layer cake to be accessible to wear for a much wider range of people and not just depending on a bust. So no bust darts. And the way we cracked it, in the sense that I wanted the top to be easy to move in and comfortable, especially if you go to bigger sizes. The difference between measurements when you're standing completely straight and measurement when you start moving is bigger because of circumferences growing. So the relative movement within those circumferences grows as well. So if you have a top that has been designed for a small frame and you scale it up to a large size, then when the person stands completely still, it may look and feel fine, but as soon as you start moving, you end up feeling restricted in a way that the smaller sizes don't. And restriction of my clothes are another pet peeve. I think clothes should be comfortable and support the wearer, not support as in tight, but support as in make it easy for you to move. So the Love top does exactly that. It has dolman sleeves. That means that the sleeves are cut as one piece onto the front panels, the front side panels, because just like the Love dress, the front of the Love top consists of 3 panels, a middle panel and 2 side panels. That makes it much easier to cut because, of course, you can imagine if you have a piece that goes up and then out, and having to lay that on fabric in a way that you don't end up throwing half your fabric away is not the easiest thing. And with that middle panel and a seam at the back, that makes things a lot easier and a lot more manageable. So, no set-in sleeves, dolman sleeves. What that gives me is a section here around the shoulder where it matters, where the fabric has got a lot of room to move on the bias, move diagonally. And that scissor movement gives me a lot of extra stretch. It isn't real stretch, but it's almost as if the fabric stretches because it manages to flex in a different direction. And that gives you lots of freedom of movement. And that's the big win behind the Love top. So the other big win is that we've made it just like the Love dress in a way that it can be worn with all of your layer cakes and that you can play around with sizing. With the Love top, the sizing is such because of, you can see that roundish shape of the dolman sleeve, the sizing is such that the bust measurement ends up being slightly bigger than the corresponding bust measurements of the other layer cakes of that particular size. That also means that if you're on the cusp in terms of bust size between 2 layer cake sizes, that with the Love dress and the Love top, you could go 1 size down. When you're in doubt, give me a shout and we can talk about it, and I can advise you on what I think, which size I think will fit you best. But even if you end up choosing wrong and ordering the wrong size, the fact that we do a production run on the basis of your orders does not mean that you can't return them. You can always return them and exchange them for a different size, or exchange them for a different layer cake, or get your money back, of course. The return instructions are on the payslip when you order. So, and again, when in doubt, let me know, but you're not stuck with a layer cake that doesn't fit you properly, ever. So, first color, Sweet Pea. All the 6 colors are going to come by, not all on my body because I've got 4 colors in my size. The other 2 colors I'll be able to show you on the mannequins. This is Sweet Pea worn underneath my large purple check play suit. I'm going to swap it around and show you what it would look like as a secondary option for an outfit worn on top of my play suit, because that works as well. Like this. Sweet Pea Love top, size 1, worn over the top of my long large purple check play suit. And you can see that slight sweep that we've given it, slightly longer in the back than in the front, so it'll cover your tush. And of course in the front it covers your tummy. So that means that you could wear this in combination with a play suit, in combination with a tail smock, as an alternative to the mini tabard to cover your tummy under a tail smock. So I'll show you. And here it is. Love top, just like I was wearing, and just with a tail smock thrown over the top. Doesn't it look great? So this is a size 1. All of what I'm wearing now are all size 1. I'm not combining different sizes. This is just all my size worn together. Of course, the other alternative is to just wear one of my regular smocks and tabards instead of a tail smock. But I wanted to show you the difference in length here between the Love top and the tail smock, and showing that it's just covering that waist area that some of us are very conscious about. And then of course you've got the play suit flowing underneath that, or it could be a pair of baggies. It doesn't have to be a play suit that you wear underneath this, but for extra layers, of course, it's great if you have a play suit to keep your body warm, because of course now I've got 3 layers here. So let me show you, same outfit, and instead of the tail smock, I'll show you a regular smock. And here's a smock. This is the dark teal, which looks fabulous in combination with the large purple check. Large purple check, nice and bright, and of course that dark teal calms it down a little bit. And sweet pea is slightly tealy as well, so the whole outfit pulls together very, very nicely. Now, I was talking about extra layers and layers to keep you warm. The love top, of course, is ideal to be worn in combination with a love dress. If it's still chilly where you are and you find that just wearing a love dress by itself, or just wearing a love dress with a pair of baggies or a pair of high-lows, for example, still leaves you a bit chilly on top, then instead of putting something woolly or a shawl around your neck, you can also just wear a love top underneath your love dress. I'll show you. And here it is. As you can see, and maybe for those of you who watch this regularly, you may remember that I wore two love dresses over the top of each other as well, and then pointed out that we have sewn the hem of the sleeves, given it a little bit of a cuff in such a way that you can roll them up like this, fold them over, and they look really good. You don't have any unfinished edges, you don't see any overlocking stitches. It's nicely folded away like a real cuff. And as a result, you can play with contrast. Now, this is not very hard contrast, a very soft and subtle contrast, but doesn't it pick up beautifully on the light stripe in my dress? And boy, guys, is this toasty. Of course, I've still got the play suit on, then the love top, and then the love dress. Oh my gosh, this really feels like winter wear, and I haven't got a thread of wool on me. It's just the air that gets trapped in between the layers of fabric that gives you that extra warmth, and the weight of the fabric gives you a sense of comfort as well. I can't recommend that highly enough. Layer your layer cakes. That's the idea behind them. So layering with the love top and the love dress is a great way of layering your layer cakes. If you haven't got a love dress, of course you just layer this with all the others, and that's what I'm going to show you most of. And most importantly, you can of course layer two love tops. I will show you that next. And it's a really good tip moving forward into like the warmer months, and even people who are able to start traveling a little bit again. Playing with layers like that can give you multiple outfits with just a handful of garments in your suitcase. So clever packing and clever choice of combinations can give you a multitude of outfits with just a handful. I will dedicate one of the future episodes as we move closer to the summer months to that, because it's a good idea, and then show you just a small number of garments and see what you can do with that. Right now, I'll show you two love tops in combination. Here is the heather stripe on top of the sweet pea again. Now, these necklines, they look slightly different because I clearly see the sweet pea underneath the heather. So did we cut the heather neckline wider? No, we didn't. It's because of the way I wear them. And you can make a specific point of doing that when you put them on top of each other. I put the sweet pea on first, then I put the heather on, and I make sure that the shoulder seams of the heather stripe are slightly further forward than the shoulder seams of the sweet pea. So the sweet pea is slightly cantilevered back and the heather stripe is slightly cantilevered forward. So that means that at the bottom here, my sweet pea top looks shorter than the heather, even though it isn't. And at the back, you'll see that it looks longer. Now, of course, first of all, it's quite cute if you see it peeping out here a little bit as well as the cuffs, but you then also have that play between the different colors around the neckline, which I think is quite cute. If you don't like that, then of course you can line them up completely, and you can make one of the top underneath completely invisible and not showing at all above or below the top that you're wearing on top of it. So that's two love tops on top of each other. No, not much contrast. And of course, I'll show you some examples of much bigger contrast. I could wear these the other way around as well. Of course, if you think, well, I like the stripe, but in combination with that loud check, I don't like to see as much of that stripe, then swap it around. Have the sweet pea on the outside, the stripe underneath, and then you just have the stripy cuffs, which of course have a slight purple hue to them because of the heathery, like grayish purple color that's in this particular stripe. But I'll move on, I'll get out of this play suit and I'll show you this color combination with a more neutral base. There we have it, nice and neutral. Charcoal baggies with the heather stripe step top and the very nice and cool lilac-y sweet pea underneath. I'll fold these back so you can see the normal length again. If you find it a little bit too chilly to fold them up, then of course you can wear them down. The other thing that is really nice with both the love top and the love dress is that 3/4 length of the sleeves. Same with Gansey, for example. The fact that the sleeves are not full length really gives you a chance to show off things like fingerless gloves and arm warmers, etc., which don't end up disappearing completely behind your clothes or underneath your clothes when worn outside. And I love to be able to see those knits when I like go for a walk, for example, or walk to the studio in the morning. So very neutral outfit. Let's jazz it up a little bit with some contrast, shall we? Contrast, here we've got some. This is the chartreuse love dress in the regular length, worn on top of the charcoal baggies and then with the heather stripe love top. Nice little swoop, like I said. Contrast without any clashing because it's still contrast but relatively safe. My outfit today is my play suit that you just saw, my large purple check play suit with this dress worn together. I love going really bright like that, but I appreciate that not everybody does. And I can take this actually a step back. Well, first of all, I'm going to show it the other way around. So I'll put this underneath the dress so you can really use a top like this just to give the little accents around the neck and the cuffs to bring the grey of the trousers back. And then I will show you contrast that doesn't necessarily have to be loud, because of course this is still a bright color, but we can create contrast without bright colors. I'll swap these around first. Here it is. Heather stripe worn underneath the chartreuse and still with the charcoal. Now, if most of your bottom pieces, for example, are black, then there is a black version of the love top as well. And I haven't got that in my size, but I'll put it on this mannequin because I've got the mannequin here, again, to show you the little sweep in the hemline, but also to show you how stunningly subtle and beautiful the sweet pea linen is together with the teal herringbone. I think that is such a beautiful combination. But I will take the sweet pea top off and put a black top in its place just to show you the black love top, because with an outfit like this, if the baggies are black, then of course it would look amazing to put a black love top underneath the dress and then have the black cuffs and a little peep of black here at the top. It would pull the outfit together in a way that it looks like it's supposed to be worn like that always. But of course you don't have to, because you can play with it. So I hope you catch my drift with it. Let me grab that black love top and put it on her just so you get a proper look at it. Of course, it's the ultimate neutral. Really nice and very simple, and can be either to play an outfit down or to give a lovely accent or an extra layer. Now, like I said, I will show this outfit the same top again, but with less of a bright contrast. Still contrast, but not loud. I hope it makes sense. I'll go and put it on. There, the white Love top underneath the heather stripe. That slight cantilevering thing going on, so you can see a little bit of white tipping out here in the back, and folded up the cuffs, so you have a little bit of contrast, but not a loud contrast, keeping it all a little bit more subdued. And of course we can go further in this. We can dial the contrast down even further. I will first show you that this also works the other way around. So the white over the top of the heather stripe. Here we go. White on top of heather stripe. Heather stripe peeping out in the back. Little cuffs, subtle. And doesn't it look nice? It's going a little bit nautical like this, isn't it? So if you like that idea, but you think, oh, white, I can't ever wear white. Well, first of all, you can soak this linen, you can chuck stain removers at it, and you can really, you can use the kind of stain removers and additives that make your laundry whiter than white and things like that, because it is so hard wearing. But if you really, really don't want to try white, then I've got another very light, subtle color that is not quite as contrastful. So let's dial it down a little bit more. Color number 4 in the Love Top lineup is the natural linen, the undyed linen, and like I said, even more subtle in terms of contrast. But doesn't it look lovely together? The charcoal always has a slight brownish hue to it, which is why we call it charcoal. And of course that works really well with the natural linen color. And then with a little bit of contrast to bring the gray back higher up in the outfit without having to add any other accessories. So now that we're into our neutrals, I'm going to neutralize the rest of the outfit even more and go into this in combination with the white, not with the white on top, but with the white underneath, and then show you some other neutrals with it, just to give examples of these really pale colors in combination with other neutrals in the collection. So here we go again. I've swapped the heather stripe Love Top for the white one, kept the neutral one on, and have teamed it with my neutral check baggies to go into this whole soft neutral palette. Again, of course, you get a little bit of white peeping out of the bottom, and I will combine a couple of other neutral ones with it, just so that you can see how the Love Top works with 2 other garments. One is the tulip dress, and the other one is one of the dusters. So let's start with a duster. Duster in the same color as the baggies, the neutral check, and then with that neutral top underneath, no contrast, just complementary, soft and really elegant. I'll swap the duster for a different color and show you that, of course, these two don't have to be the same. If you stay within that same color palette, you can create very soft contrast rather than hard contrast. Like this, the gauze duster in a beautiful, soft, earthy color, taupe, soft taupe in that crinkly thin linen. Lovely combination with the rest of the outfit and lovely with the Love Top. Now let me show you that tulip dress that I promised. The neutral check tulip dress, regular length, with the matching baggies, and then the natural Love Top. And what I've done is I've scooted them the other way around so that you don't see the white Love Top sticking out anymore. I'm still wearing it, and I could still, of course, roll up my cuffs to make it visible, but it's just to show you that depending on what's happening at the neckline, you may find it too much to then have the natural here and then a little bit of white. So you can hide that by scooting them around a little bit. It depends on what you prefer. So this is a size 2 tulip dress with the size 1 natural love top. I will see if I have a natural tulip dress to go in a size 1 to go with this love top in a size 1, so that I can show you that a tulip dress and a love top together make a very similar silhouette to a love dress. And I wanted to show you that as an alternative to the love dresses, if so far you haven't gone for a love dress because you prefer separates so that you can make more combinations, but you've got tulip dresses, then you could add a love top to that in order to create a complete dress, a whole outfit. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And here it is. Love top and tulip dress worn together, cut in a way that they really sit comfortably on top of each other when you wear the same size, and similar necklines. You can see the love top slightly underneath here, the tulip dress, but all of a sudden the tulip dress has grown some sleeves. So you can really go for that exact same color if you prefer, or you can go for contrast if you like that better. But the tulip dress and the love top can still be worn together despite the higher armholes of the tulip dress. So I've now covered, including this black one, 5 of the 6 colors, but the brightest little baby hasn't had its little moment in the spotlight yet. So here we go with the red. The red one, combined with a pair of high-lows. These are the longer length high-lows worn down. Lovely, slightly billowy silhouette, bit more narrow around the hips and then billowy at the bottom. And of course more like regular trousers rather than the baggies, which are the real harem style. Back of the red, super bright of course, and you might find that too much, so let's put something more neutral over the top that still then shows the red in combination with the red that's in the high-lows, because the high-lows are a cross weave of the black and red, and it's this red that's in those high-lows. So let me add some more. For example, a charcoal smock. Of course, the charcoal is a cross weave as well of dark grey and black, and then against that red and black of the high-lows, and then the red by itself as a crowning glory at the top, bringing the red back and creating a nice pop of color. So let's add some black to that, because we can. A black mini tabard, and can you see how the other pieces are taking more and more emphasis away from the red love top without, so making the whole outfit less loud, but actually the loud color is still there. So let's see what happens if I now remove that smock. I haven't actually seen the combination of a mini tabard and a love top yet. Let's go. Well, this works. Mini tabard with a love top. You can see that the diagonal line of the love top is almost identical to the diagonal line of the mini tabard in the back, so they go beautifully together. You see that the tip of the mini tabard, of course, comes further down, front and back, but you have a little bit of extra coverage of your hips with a flash of the red on the sides here coming through. I think it's a really good combination. There is one other garment that I would like to show you specifically with the love top, because I've had so many questions from people like, I really love your aprons, but I have no idea what to wear underneath. Well, the love top is your answer, and I'll show you why. Here is a red pinstripe apron in a size 2 which is slightly on the large size for me, but that really helps emphasize and explain what I mean about the Love top being so good to wear with the apron. First of all, you can see in the front it works really well, but the most important bit is in the back. As you know, the apron has these crossover straps, and the crossover straps make sure that the sides here are pulled into me a little bit, so you get a nice silhouette here and your waist gets a little bit cinched in, but that extra fabric has to go somewhere. So it's a good width for me to have on my hips and my big bum, but here I've got extra fabric, excess fabric, and that stands out like this. And a lot of people have complained about that, saying I've got this boop at the boop of fabric at the back. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that because when you're moving around, that gives you the extra space that you need to have freedom of movement. This is not to be a fitted garment. This is the most roomy of the layer cakes. It's an apron, and you're supposed to be wearing it like an apron. So when it comes to having this gap in the back that you can look down, then of course the common complaint is that you can see what you're wearing underneath. With the Love top, which on me, even as a tall person, finishes here right at the bottom of my bum, it's no problem at all. All you see is Love top when you look down this gap in the back. And even with this very pronounced gap, you cannot see the bottom of the Love top. And of course, when you're wearing a slightly more fitted apron, because like I said, this is a bit big on me, it's just the only one that I had in this color, and I was keen to show it in combination with the red Love top, then that gap will be smaller. So a perfect top for the apron, which tends to not get enough love, in my opinion, in the Layercake lineup. So that's all of them. That's all 6 colors. I hope you enjoyed the introduction. I hope I've given you some ideas of garment combinations in your own wardrobe that aren't necessarily layer cakes. Think of tops you've got, for example, where you've gone back and got the same top in more than one color because you liked it so much. Have you ever considered wearing them on top of each other, no matter what kind of top they are? Keep that in mind, play with your wardrobe, have fun, and I'll see you again soon.